Hello guys and welcome to Big Rock Bend Reviews. If you are looking for high quality reviews on high quality budget friendly outdoor products, we're talking everything from pocket knives to axes, hatchets, saws, camping equipment, hiking equipment, hunting equipment, basically anything outdoors under the sun, then you are at the right bend in the river, my friend. We are kicking off this new year. It is January 8th, 2026. So I'm still classifying this as a new year with some new knives. Now, these may not be new models to you guys, but they are definitely new to me and some very cool options here. First off, we have the Kershaw Iridium. This is going to be the Chinese made version of this knife. There is a US made version that's a little bit more expensive than this one. But this comes in typically in that $60 to $70 range. And just for reference, I typically consider anything from about $20, $25 up to about $100, $125 as being quote unquote budget friendly. Everybody's budget's a little bit different, but this day and age, with everything costing an arm and a leg, it's good to find some high quality products that can fit nicely in just about any budget out there. And this knife certainly fits the bill for that. This is going to have aluminum scales here, a textured aluminum. This one's the gray and bronze color scheme. Very nice, very sharp looking, no pun intended, but very, very nice looking knife. And the feel is just amazing. This is also going to be my first crossbar knife, which I got to say, I definitely love the action on this thing. You can kind of see the pocket clip there, strong pocket clip. But this crossbar is really cool. It's got some nice texture in here, so you get a good grip. Just kind of pinch it down, and you can flip this thing right open. Get a look at the blade. This is going to be a D2 steel blade. So a little bit on blade steels. I'm not going to dig super deep into the weeds on blade steels. There are some much better sources out there for that information. Knife Steel Nerds jumps to mind. I will definitely put a link to their site and their YouTube channel right down here in the description. Those guys, they dig into the science behind the steel, all of basically anything you want to know about any knife steel that's out there. You can probably find out about it with Knife Steel Nerds. They do a lot of really scientific experiments. They get into the toughness, the grain structure, the molecular structure, just literally anything you want to know. Those guys are a wealth of information, and whatever I told you would probably be coming from them anyway, so why not just go to the source? I'm going to focus a lot more on how these knives actually use, how they feel in everyday use, and how they hold up, how easy they are to maintain, just general stuff like that. So if you want to learn all the details about the steels, check out Knife Steel Nerds in the description and see what they have up there. This is going to be D2 steel on the blade. I love the profile on this. The grind on it is super awesome. The edge, very, very sharp, scary sharp, really. And the action is just incredible. So when you're closing it, you definitely want to make sure all of your fingers are very much clear of that blade path. Don't want to lose a tip and lose any skin or blood on this. But you pinch the crossbar down, flip it forward, and you can see it just kind of closes and opens itself almost. This is not the auto opening version. There is one of those in the US made model. But like I said, this is the more budget friendly. Still, that action is just awesome. Love that. Very cool looking knife. Can't wait to see how that one holds up in real use. Next, we have the CJRB Maximal. Very cool knife here. This is one that I believe was designed by the guys over at Knife Center. First CJRB knife I've ever had, so just getting to know this company. But man, this thing is super cool. Another crossbar mechanism. Love the gold washer, spacer, whatever that is on the pivot. Very nice, very classy. Micarta handle here, this green micarta, feels good in the hand, gives you a good kind of, it's not going to slip, not going to fly out of your hand or anything. Love that. Good pocket clip, reversible, just like the Iridium. This is a reversible clip as well, forgot to mention that. So same action, you just kind of pinch it and pull it down and flip it open. The blade profile on this is really cool, very nice looking. I love how it kind of swoops down here. Nice looking profile. Again, amazing grind, amazing edge, incredibly sharp. But to me, one of the coolest things about this knife is going to be the steel itself. I know I just got done saying I'm not going to dig into the nitty gritty on steels, but this is just really cool. This is AR RPM 9 steel. This is a spray form steel, not a true powder steel for what it's worth. I really don't know what the difference is, so take that with a grain of salt. I just know it looks super cool. I don't know if it's the finish they have on it or if it's the steel itself, but you can kind of see that grain structure down in there. You can see all the stuff that's going on in this knife. And as someone who's collected daggers, swords, knives, blades of basically every type for going on 30, 35 years now, this is one of the coolest steels I think I've seen. Just very cool looking. Again, the action on this is super smooth. Keep your fingers out of the way, pinch it down, flip it forward, and it just kind of opens and closes itself, really. Also, even though this is a little bit of a smaller knife, it is definitely smaller than the Iridium here, but it feels bigger than it is in the hand. The way they have this designed, how broad it is in the handle here, it really fills up your grip. Now, I don't have super large hands, they're kind of medium size, but even still, this just, you get almost a full 4-finger grip, little finger cut out here. There is a little flat area you can get some extra leverage on if you need it, but be careful you don't ride up onto that edge because it is sharp all the way down to the end there. But yeah, just very good feeling. Steel lining in there is recessed in, so it has a very low profile but gives some rigidity, and just a really good feeling knife. I'm excited to get to use this one a little bit. So that's the CJRB Maximal. Next up, we have the Sencut Sachse. This is going to be my first flipper knife and first push button knife. Very cool. You just take your index finger and you can flip it open. Very easy action. Not quite as easy in action as the CJRB or the Iridium, but still very smooth, very easy to open. The blade profile on this one is really cool. I love how they did the back here, kind of narrowing down towards the tip. Just gives it a very nice, smooth, flowy kind of lines. Love the lines on this thing. You can see the logo there, the Sencut logo. This company is the same company that makes Civivi and We Knife. They're all made in the same factory over in China. This is kind of their most budget-friendly line. Then kind of the mid-tier would be the Civivi, and then the top tier would be your We Knife. This one, I believe we came in at around $45, $47, and we actually got a really good deal on this Maximal. It was on sale. I believe that one was $34, $36, something like that. So all three of these solidly in that budget category. Very nice looking knives. This one is a little bit larger, again, than the Maximal, and even larger than the Iridium, or almost this, well, the handle's a little bit larger, but yeah, definitely larger than the Maximal there. Fills up the hand nice. The handle shape is very cool. It's a little bit wider this way, which I kind of like, to be honest. Pocket clip doesn't really get in the way at all. Just has a really good feel in your hand. A little bit of texturing jumping on the back here of the knife, so you get good traction if you're having to really bear down and get into something and cut. But yeah, just very cool knife, very sharp. Blade steel on this one's going to be kind of hard to see. 9CR18 MOV. I know that has a lot of significance for the chemical structure of this, but like I said, check out Knife Steel Nerds. They'll tell you all about it. Not quite as easy on the action. You just push the push button in, making sure your fingers are out of the way. Push the push button in and flip it closed. It does close on its own very easily, but not quite as quickly as the other two, so just kind of keep that in mind. Still, very easy action, very nice, very smooth. So that's the three knives I have for today. So a little bit about how this is going to work. I'm going to put out a couple of short videos just talking about the general fit and finish, the feel of these knives, what I think out of the box. You're also going to get some cutting tests on each knife I do reviews on, which we'll get to those here in just a second. But the big thing is each of these knives is going to spend about between 2 and 4 weeks in my pocket as my everyday carry knife. I work in construction for insurance restoration, property restoration. So a lot of times I need to use my knives on a nearly daily basis at work. I'll cut samples of carpet, cut samples of flooring, getting into drywall, cutting into pallets with flooring, just all kinds of regular everyday use for a knife. So I'm going to carry these for about 2 to 4 weeks each in the pocket, use it as my everyday carry. All of the tasks that I would use a knife for, these knives are going to get used for. And at the end of that process, I'll have a final video to kind of wrap up my thoughts, give you an idea of how it feels in the pocket, how it feels in the hand, how does it cut, how does it hold up. But also, very importantly, I'm going to go over how easy each of these knives are to maintain and to touch up the edge and resharpen. That's one thing I think a lot of people don't necessarily consider when they're buying a knife, is how easy is it to sharpen that knife if it gets dull. Because like it or not, as cool as these are to fidget with and play with and look at and admire, at the end of the day, these are tools, and they're tools designed with a purpose in mind. They're made to cut. So it's very important how well they can get that job done, but it's also pretty important how easy it is to maintain your tool and to sharpen it, touch up the edge, keep it clean, keep it free from rust, all of that stuff. A lot of that is going to rest on the knife steel, but also the construction, the way the spacers are spaced, the way the handle's constructed, the way the pivot's constructed, even the way the lock is constructed. All of that can really play into how the maintenance goes, how easy it is to keep the knife clean and functional and ready to go. So that'll all come in the last video in the series, and that's pretty much how my plan's going to work out. So for the cutting tests, for each knife is going to get a standardized cutting test. I'm going to have 3 different types of rope, 3 different diameters with different materials, so you can kind of get a feel on how these things cut through different types of rope and cordage. Also going to do 3 different sizes of zip tie, so you can see how it deals with some of that harder plastic. And then some cardboard slicing, some paper slicing, might throw in some polybutylene plumbing pipe, because I do have to trim that sometimes when we're dealing with a plumbing loss or something. But just kind of give you a general idea of how these things hold up in real world use cases. One thing I noticed a few months back when I was starting to look for a new pocket knife, the market for this budget range of knives in that $30 to $125 range has really exploded in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years or so. There are literally thousands and thousands of options out there. There's so many options, it can be really difficult to figure out what's a good buy, what's not a good buy, what's worth the money, what's not. So I'm hoping to kind of help you answer that question by actually carrying these knives and putting them to real world tests and real world use, so you can see how it holds up before you drop your hard-earned dollars and cents on it and see if it makes sense for you. So with that, we are going to get right to the cutting test on all 3 of these knives, and I will see you outside. Okay guys, we are outside at the cutting table, getting ready to get some cutting footage with these knives. Just a heads up, it is a little bit windy out here, so if that comes in on the audio, I may end up doing a voiceover on this. I'm not sure yet. But basically the way I'm going to structure this, I'm going to start off with the rope cutting portion. I'm going to start with some thin paracord style. I've got some thicker 1/2 inch polymer braided kind of paracord material, but a good bit thicker, almost like a climbing rope. Then I've got this organic fiber, I believe this is manila rope here, manila fiber rope. And then I'm going to finish it off with some harder plastic rope, this braided nylon here. So several different kinds of rope to try and cut with these things. Then I got a few different size zip ties, some of the standard here, some of the longer here. And we're going to slice some cardboard before and after so that you can see how that does. And without further ado, we're going to get started on the Kershaw Iridium. This is Kershaw Iridium here, the Chinese made version. Very nice. That laid out there. Okay. Here we've got some just regular old shipping cardboard here. I'm going to try some slices. Oh, that cuts like butter. Look at that. Just right through there. Double layer cardboard, shaving it off right there. That's looking good. Just kind of cutting through. See if we can do some quick cuts. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Edge is very sharp on there. Cutting right through there. Awesome. Okay. So that's the cardboard slicing. Let's see the knife. Got a little stain there from the adhesive on the tape on the packing there. I can clean that right off, hopefully. We can keep right on trucking. That actually sliced through real easily, even though it was double layer and on a bit of an angle. So that was really impressive. with that, I'm gonna very carefully, so we don't slide along the blade, clean that off. Edge looks clean, no damage. Nice, looking good. So here we're gonna get our first cut. This is gonna be the rope. I'm gonna do 3 cuts on this. So first I'm just gonna kind of push down, bites right through it, cuts like a dream, very cool. Now I'm gonna hold the rope and pull through, see how this does. Nice, very good, very good. Little, yep, that slices right through there. Very cool. Very easy cutting. I like that. Okay. See how it does on a little bit thicker rope here, a little bit bigger diameter. So we get the first cut here. Man, just goes right through there. Look at that. Look how clean that is. Cuts right through there. Awesome. Let's see the other end there. Very cool. Very clean cut. So we're going to take and hold the rope right now and cut through where it's not on the tape. All right. Nice. Cuts right through. I'm going to do another push cut. Yep. So very nice. Very clean cuts on that. Very easy. Very sharp knife. Drop those over there. I'll get that up later. Okay, now for the organic fiber rope. I'm going to cut this one off right here. Okay. Definitely a tougher material. You can definitely feel the toughness. Okay. But still, pretty clean cut through there. Okay. Let's see how this does holding it. Oh. Yeah, that doesn't cut as easy as the other stuff. That's a good rough material right there. See how this one does. Okay. Still cutting. Still good. Still sharp. No visible edge damage. Good deal. Okay. Now for the final rope sample. This hard nylon rope here. Let's see how this does. Okay. Definitely a little bit tougher cut. Did not want to cut as easy as the other stuff did. Even the organic fiber rope is a little easier than that. I think this is going to be wow. Yeah, that's tough. But it gets through it. I mean, very cool. Very cool. Okay. Fairly clean cuts on there too. Okay, tore a little bit there towards the end, but still. Then another push cut. Okay. There again, fairly clean cut through there. Fairly clean. Not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. That's definitely a harder material, let me tell you. I definitely did not want to cut as easy. Okay. Still looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. No real damage on the blade. No real damage on the finish. Okay, time for some zip tie cuts here. I'll try 3 of these. Okay. So, not super easy, but not super difficult either. We'll kind of see if we can get it through on the board. Okay. So it takes a little bit of work to get it through there. You got to kind of rock it a little bit and saw it. Okay. So not the easiest on cutting flat zip tie, let me tell you. Interesting. Okay. That was harder than I expected it to be honest. All right, let's try the thicker. See if we can go in on the edge since this is a little bit thicker material. Nope, it's wanting to bend. Okay. Really having to get in there and bear down on it. But it is cutting. Okay, so maybe not the knife design. There we go. Okay. So the thicker material actually cuts a little bit. Let's see if I can do this without losing a fingertip here. Okay. So definitely harder to cut through the plastic material, even bearing down on the tip. But it is definitely cutting it. It's just a matter of getting through it. That's some hard plastic. Okay. Let's try. There we go. Wow. Yeah, make sure you got a good clear range when you're doing that. It peels it off. You can shave down on it. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely tougher than I expected it to be. Good to know. Okay. So those are my cutting demonstrations with this Kershaw Iridium. I gotta say, it cut right through the rope pretty easily. I was pretty impressed with that. Even the thick diameter rope sliced right through there, no problem. Going in on the harder material though, like the zip ties, especially this thick one, it likes to shave off real thin slivers of it. But as far as getting down in there and actually cutting through, I mean, that's tough. Even with this super sharp profile on this knife, it's not easy. So interesting result there. I thought that would be easier to cut than it was. Something to think about for future videos, I guess. But all in all, super impressed with that Iridium. Very cool knife. We'll look at the edge when we get inside, but performed really well. Okay. Now time to try the CJRB Maximal. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. Another look at that. CJRB Maximal right there. Okay. Look at cutting through some of this cardboard here. See how it slices? Ooh, right through very easily. Gets right in there. Still picking up a little bit of that adhesive from the tape on that side there, but still very good slicer. Just draw it right through, even though it's double layered. Let's see how it cuts this way. Yep. See that? Double layers there. Very cool. Good slicer. Okay. Now for some rope cutting. We'll start again with the thinnest diameter here. Push real. Ooh, wow. That just glides through that thin rope like that. Wow. That was super easy. Let's see. Zink. Right through it again. Very easy cut. One more here. Let's try it on this one. Just going to push through right here in the belly of the blade. Yeah, that is super smooth. Wow. That's a real slicer right there, guys. That's awesome. Okay, thicker rope here. Try this one. I imagine this is going to be very similar. So just pushing right through the belly, and yep, like butter. It's chewing through these little nylon ropes. Zoink, right through there. Very clean cut. Another little push cut. Right through. Nice. Okay. Very cool. Let's see how this one does. Cut through a little bit right there. I'm going to limit this to one. There we go. One. Again, got to kind of push it through, but it gets through. All right. Good cuts there. Very cool. Definitely a little tougher than the nylon rope, that's for sure. Than the climbing rope anyway. Now we got the hard nylon here. We're going to cut through that. Again, right on the belly. Just going to push it through. Okay, a little more resistance there, but not too bad. Again, very clean cuts. See if I can hold it on this one maybe. Yep. And you feel it biting through each little strand. It's getting, yep, right through. Nice. Okay, one more push cut on this. And right through there. So not too bad, not too bad. Pretty clean cuts all the way around on the rope, to be expected. Now let's try one of these medium-sized zip ties here. Oh wow, right through it. That was way easier. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Let's see if I can get it on edge. Nope, it's not going to stand up for me. Oh, yep, there it goes. Just snipped it right off. Nice. This Maximal has proven to be a really good cutter, guys. Really good cutter. Wow, that is awesome. That's pretty impressive. Okay, let's try this one on edge and see if I can get it through. Not quite. It's getting there. Yeah, you can see it kind of bit into it a little bit, but didn't quite make it. All right. So this thick zip tie is really proven to be the nemesis of these little slicer blades, man. It is not wanting to bite into that real hard. Interesting. There again, it'll shave off little pieces of it, but this harder material, it's not wanting to push through. All right, that cut pretty well. Good deep bite into that. There you go. Not bad. Again, sorry for the wind, guys. I might end up having to do a voiceover on this. Okay, it's getting through there. It's starting to. Come on. Almost. Ah, look at there. Got it. Awesome. Okay. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Still, the finish is looking good. Steel looking good. Very cool. Okay. That actually did a little bit better than the Iridium on the slicing. Definitely cut through the zip ties a little bit better, so something to think about there. We'll say a little rough on the hands too, man. All right, now time for the Sencut. Let's see how this bad boy does. Sencut Sachse. All right, let's get the old cardboard, old trusty cardboard over here. All right. Since I did the other ones through the tape, I'm going to do this one through the tape too. Make it nice and... Ooh, look at that. Oh, sorry, I was out of frame there. Watch this. Wow. This is cutting right through that cardboard pretty handily. Pretty handily. Okay. So, a little bit of adhesive on there, but man, that's slicing to a whole new level. Not bad. Not bad. Let's see. Okay, it's kind of tearing a little bit there. Okay, well, there we go. Just got to get the right angle on it. Okay, looking pretty good. It gets a little broad there at the end, and you can kind of feel that when you're in the cut, but still a very good slicer. Now time for some rope cutting. So here's our first test. Let's see. Okay, right through that. Nice. Nice. Try pulling it a little bit. Get in there and zoink, right through it. Good job. Okay. Definitely doing pretty good. Let's see one more push test here. Yep. Okay, getting a little caught at the end. I don't feel any burrs or anything, but you see the end there kind of pulled a little bit on the thread. That's interesting. If it's doing that, I wonder how it's going to do in the cut on this organic rope. Let's try that out. Okay. Well, pretty good, actually. That was not bad. Very clean. Very clean. Okay, let's try the pull through. Okay. Not biting in as quite as good that way. There we go. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. Yeah. I might have messed up the order on that one. Do the thick rope here. Yep, right through like I would expect. Very good slicing on that. The thicker climbing rope. Whoa. Okay. That sliced right through there real quick. Look at that, man. Caught the tip on the block. No damage on the tip. Look good. Okay. Now for that heavy nylon rope. This one's always the tough one. Okay. It's biting. Not quite as good as the other two, but it's getting in there. Okay, well, there goes my sample. Okay, so that cut, but it was definitely not easy. I'm not going to try to hold and cut this one. Given the way the other one went, this might not be super safe. So we're going to try another push cut. All right, getting through it and down. Okay, that's actually cleaner than the thin line was, which is interesting. One more cut on this one. Okay, got through it. Not bad. Not bad. You definitely feel the handle a little bit more on this one. I'm not sure if it's the geometry on the back here or what it is, but when I'm putting my finger across the back, I definitely feel this area right in here a little bit more. Just something to note. Okay, so another medium zip tie here. Okay, this one's not as, let's see, having to really push down to try and get it through there. You can kind of see it's cutting into it, but not through it. So let's see if we can get it on the other side, maybe. There we go. That was a lot easier, really. Yep, there we go. Okay. Yep, right through there. Okay. Let's see how it does on this thick boy. Really trying to push through that thick material is just not easy with these knives. I don't know if it's the geometry on the blade or just the material so freaking difficult. It is just not working. Now it will whittle through it. You can kind of see. It'll shave it off. It will cut. But this material with this geometry is just not wanting to, definitely not wanting to slice through real easy. Well, so the only one that really tackled this last beast right here, the real thick zip ties, the only one that really tackled that with any kind of ease was the Maximal. Even putting it all the way out at the tip, getting as much out of that leverage as you can, it's just not wanting to get through there. Okay. Nope. That is really, it's really something. It bites into it. It does not want to cut through there. Okay. Well, guess that answers the question on that. So still no real edge damage, a little bit of staining on the finish from the adhesive, but sliced right through the cardboard, sliced right through all the ropes, all the lines we had. Made short work of these small and medium zip ties. So all three of these cut fairly well. I will say I was not expecting the level of difficulty on that thick zip tie that I got. That surprised me a little bit, just how difficult that was to cut through. I was not really expecting that. But the way they performed on each of these ropes was pretty in line with what I expected. Easy cutting, very sharp. Obviously, these profiles are ground very well. They're sharpened extremely well at the factory. They come dangerously sharp, so watch your fingers. And yeah, pretty cool. So there are my initial thoughts on each of these three knives. Now they're each going to spend some time in the pocket, and we'll see how they do in real use cases out in the world, out in the wild. And I'll report back in a few weeks. In the meantime, keep an eye out for some more shorts, more cutting videos, a little more in-depth on the fit and finish for each of these. And I'll go over a little bit more on the cutting experience as well, how they did, what I was expecting, what surprised me, what kind of worked the way I thought it would, and we'll kind of go from there. So cool. I don't really know what to do with my hands here, but thanks for coming. Hit the like and subscribe button down in the bottom, or wherever the bottom is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.